Hi, and welcome to the first episode of 5-Minute Pacifism. The goal of this channel is pretty simple. I want to provide you with a concise view of pacifism, with arguments for it, as well as a defense of it. My journey to pacifism has taken a very long time. Probably about 3 years, and I have read thousands of pages of books and articles. I've watched tons of videos, I've talked to lots of people. I've just really spent a lot of time thinking through this issue. And I understand that it can be really overwhelming because there is a ton of information out there. And so I feel like I've been put in a position where I'm able to help those who are searching by compiling the information and organizing it in a way that will be helpful to you as you do your research. And so part of what I'm trying to do is, yes, make a case for pacifism, but on the other hand, a lot of what I'm really going to be doing is just organizing things for you as you do the research to further the case. Because obviously, I'm not going to be able to explain everything in 5 minutes. Alright, so before I get into the first informational video, I do want to nuance two things here. And first is that I don't really like the term pacifism. Why don't I like the term pacifism? Well, a lot of people think that pacifism means that you're passive. And so I just don't like the name for that reason. But also because there are so many different brands of pacifism, which as you do research, you start to find there's some kind of crazier views out there, or more extremist views. And so the term that I like to use is Christian nonviolence, because there are lots of non-Christians who are pacifists, but a lot of what I'm going to base my pacifism on is Christianity and the teachings of the Bible. So I prefer Christian nonviolence. So why do I use pacifism if I don't like it? Well, most people who are researching this issue or who are just starting out thinking through it are going to use the term pacifism. They don't know the nuances. And so I want to be able to be a resource for people who are looking for it, who are just starting out, and who don't have all of the nuances. So that's why I use the term pacifism. Second thing I want to say is that you really need to understand the case for pacifism is a cumulative one. And that means that there's a lot of information that needs to be pieced together. You might come to one piece of information and say, it's not very convincing. And it might not be on its own. But as part of a cumulative case, it can be very weighty. As an example, if there's somebody who's on trial and we find out that that person doesn't have an alibi, okay, not having an alibi doesn't make them guilty. However, if we find out that they own the murder weapon, they didn't have an alibi at the time of the murder, they just got in a heated argument with the individual who was murdered, we saw them in somebody who looks like them on camera, who was at the murder site around the time of the murder, and the person had gunpowder residue on their hands from having just recently fired a gun. That would probably be a problem, right? Then not having an alibi is a very important piece of information, even if on its own it wasn't. So, the case for pacifism is a cumulative one. You need to really hear out the whole case, and you need to decide, is the weight of the case for pacifism greater or less than the weight of the case against it? And as a cumulative case, I think pacifism is going to win, hands down. That's the introduction and the scope of where I'd like to head with these videos. And that's all for now. So, peace. And because I'm a pacifist, when I say it, I mean it.